Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, colleagues. Like Pablo has said, I'm representing Deputy Minister Park Chow in this afternoon session. First, I'd like to thank the organizers at UCLG, the Metropolis, and the UN Habitat for convening this together with Safer Cities. I think it's been the most interesting two sessions from the last two panels that have been put together, of sharing in all the knowledge and sharing in all the initiatives that's going on in response to reimagining public safety in this light of COVID-19. What we look at in terms of South Africa's side and how we actually are focusing, you know that we are 91 days in South Africa on our lockdown on level 3. And we've shared the same sentiments and we share the same challenges that everyone has presented from the various countries today, from the mayors. And I just want to thank all the mayors and the participants as well for sharing. The poor are more marginalized and are more affected and more vulnerable during this pandemic, leaving them in unsettling circumstances. We've seen a very high rise in job losses and the homelessness, and we've seen more hunger, more people reliant on food parcels, and a high rise in crime and gender-based violence. But what we can take away from this is that we have a positive initiative from our President Cyril Ramaphosa and the executive leadership, and they've been standing strong throughout this initiative to support the nation, to support the community and our people. And we've seen even the support of the South African National Defence Force coming in to assist the South African police services to bring about a safer approach to curbing this virus. And what we've seen is the reprioritization of government programs and projects to support and respond to this pandemic. And we've seen the country moving from the 1st of June to level 3 from level 4. But what we've noticed is that there's been a lifting of the alcohol ban, and that has since increased in the domestic and gender-based violence against women and children. And that is a ruling concern, especially in the recent address by the president on the 17th of June. It says that it's another pandemic on its own raging in our country. The killing of women and children by men in the country is unacceptable. At this time, everybody is feeling vulnerable, and violence is not the issue, not the reason for us to move forward. So over the past few weeks, we've seen in South Africa, 21 women and children have been murdered. And these really have saddened the hearts of many. But what we can actually express is that the country has, in last parliament sitting, announced the emergence of a response plan to combat gender-based violence, and also developed a national strategic plan in its efforts for gender-based violence. And we've seen that during this lockdown period, there's more support to survivors of gender-based violence and access to support the services, including gender-based violence hotline shelters and victims who are exposed to sexual violence as well. But what we've seen is the coming together from a national perspective. Through the national government, we've seen better coordination, better alignment with the local and provincial municipalities, government as well. We have our South African urban policy called the Integrated Urban Development Framework that was approved by Cabinet in 2016. And it's an overall framework to address urbanization and spatial transformation, and to reverse the effects of apartheid. So while we see this is that we actually see this coming together to speak on livable, safe, integrated, economic, inclusive, and globally competitive cities. But we just want to go back to this concept of what it tries to do is the IUDF sets in a new concept for framing safety at a national level to create safety in public spaces, essential for living and livable and prosperous cities. But I want to leave a few remarks that the Secretary General of the UN Habitat actually said to us, that we have a decade to implement our SDGs and the agenda. We need to ensure that our partnerships are key to overcome COVID-19, and to prepare for the social recovery phase, we need to ensure safer cities and strategies should be considered, and especially to address the impacts of the vulnerable in society and encourage inclusion, participation, and a transparent and local government that is accountable. So with that said, I'd like to thank the organizers and the panel for giving us this opportunity and for presenting those responses from the Deputy Minister's side. Thank you.